Buenas tardes, damas y caballeros. Bienvenidos al Parque La Loma en Tepic, México, para el partido número 24 de la segunda edición de la Copa Mundial Juvenil de Béisbol 5 de la Confederación Mundial de Béisbol y Softball entre los equipos de Cuba y Corea. Representando al equipo de Cuba, los jugadores titulares son, con el número 24, Kevin Hidalgo. Con el número 42, Yandro Moracén. Con el número 23, Carlos Alejandro Rivera. Con el 7, Rachel de la Caridad Medina. Y con el número 15, Amanda Díaz. Los demás integrantes de la selección de Cuba son, con el número 2, Ariana Laolibert. Con el 6, Adis Judith Espinel. Y con el número 13, Rafael Alejandro Socarras Correa. Todos ellos dirigidos por su coach Carlos Ernesto Preval Pérez y su manager Sergio Arturo Pérez Echeverría. Ponemos de pie para escuchar respetuosamente el himno de Cuba. Y ahora, con el mismo respeto, escucharemos atentos el himno nacional de Corea. Muchas gracias. Ahora disfrutemos de este gran encuentro entre las selecciones de Cuba y Corea.
Well, good afternoon and welcome once again to the WBSC Youth Baseball 5 World Cup as our opening round coverage continues with the final game of the opening round, this one between Cuba and Korea. And it has been a fantastic start to the second ever Youth Baseball 5 World Cup. And now you get a chance to see the best of the best, the defending champions, not only at the youth level, but Cuba has never lost a Baseball 5 World Cup. We've had a total of 3 Baseball 5 World Cups, 2 in the open division, all ages, 1 at the youth level, and Cuba has taken home the championship at all 3 events, and they look to do the same, no doubt, here in Tepic and Nayarit, Mexico, the host of this Youth Baseball 5 World Cup. This is game number 24, and for Korea, it's going to be a challenge. And perhaps you can see in that little team meeting near the pitcher's area, and of course there is no pitcher in Baseball 5, but we like to share terms and positions with the baseball diamond, the softball diamond. There were a lot of smiles there. And it's kind of an exciting moment if you're Korea, a chance to go up against the best of the best and see how you stack up. They had a chance to make a play right there, but they just couldn't squeeze it. Now they're throwing the ball around a little bit. And would you look at that? As Hidalgo is already on third base. That's Kevin Hidalgo, the leadoff man for this Cuba national team. So whenever you're the underdog, there is that little bit of, I don't want to say relief, but a little less weight on your shoulders as you try to pull off an upset. You could argue that the pressure, if there is pressure in this matchup, is on Cuba to go out there and dominate, which is what they do in Baseball 5. Cuba has never lost a game. They have lost a set, but they've never lost a game or a match in a Baseball 5 World Cup. And Korea, just like everybody who takes on Cuba, looking to become the first team to hand Cuba that first loss. But as you can see, 2 batters in, already 1-0 for Cuba. And now a third straight hit. They are really, really good at this game, this Cuban National Federation. And look at the big crowd we have here on Field 2. It's the only game taking place right now. This was originally scheduled. Nice play over there to guide it to third for an out. Monesen didn't like the call, but that was a good call. And maybe just a little bit of good luck, too, for Korea to get the first out at third base. But this was supposed to take place over on Field 1. There was some rain last night and this morning that delayed the action. And in an effort to just get games played on time, this one was moved to Field 2. And after this game wraps up, we will officially be able to announce, officially be able to see the schedule for the knockout round that comes next. And so far, so good for Cuba. 2 runs in, just 1 out in the inning. They've batted around. Here's Kevin Hidalgo, who started the inning. Oh, that's a tough one. Korea's going to want to make the plays like that. When you have a chance for a force out at second base, you really have to make the most of that opportunity. But the inning will continue with just 1 out. Now a 3-0 lead for Cuba in front of a packed house. You can see the fans up beyond the shortstop area, the left field side. They are jam-packed, and there's another group of fans that you can't see behind the batter's square. And standing room only out there. The turnout at Parque La Loma for these first 2 days of the Baseball 5 World Cup has been outstanding. Folks coming to check it out and sticking around. And now they're getting to see the best of the best, though that was an out. A ball driven on a line off the wall. Carlos Rivera, a little too strong. And there's 2 away. You can't hit it over the fence. You can't hit it off the fence on a fly. It has to bounce first, just like that. And hey, how about it? Pretty decent top of the first inning for Korea. Yes, they give up the 3 runs, but on the other hand, they only give up 3 runs against this powerhouse Cuban national team. So that'll be our score with Korea coming up. They are the home team. They'll be coming up here in the bottom of the first. looking at that 3-0 score. We just had a really intriguing matchup between Lithuania and the team representing Syria from the Iraq refugee camp over on field 1. Lithuania did win it, and they won it in straight sets, but Syria gave them a challenge. They were 2 high-scoring games, 2 high-scoring sets. And congratulations to Lithuania, 2-1 after the group stage of the tournament before the knockout stage. Now a ball fielded by Hidalgo, sent over to first, and that retires Zhang Ju. 2 up, 2 down. So Jiahui will bat for Korea here. Some of the fans here cheering for Korea, hoping to see an upset. But you can see how fundamentally solid this Cuban team is. They just don't make mistakes, and they work a 1-2-3 inning. We did have a perfect game, in a sense, last night, at least a perfect set. Mexico and Syria playing after the opening ceremony. Mexico won the first set in 4 innings by virtue of the 10-run rule, and Syria did not have a base runner. I have never seen that before. I've been at the 2 previous Baseball World Cups, and I don't ever recall seeing a team not get a single player on base. Cuba perhaps looking to repeat that feat in this game. We're getting a bit ahead of ourselves. It's only the top of the 2nd inning, but it is possible. They are that good. And now they'll look to add a few more runs to their 3-0 lead. As you see at the bottom of the picture, Hidalgo hitting it to third. You know, Korea's coming close to making some impressive plays here. The throws have just been a little bit off, or the catches have not been made. I love that camera angle. That's similar to the angle I've got up here at field 2. And that one goes through the legs at third. And they make a tag to get Hidalgo. Throw to second. Can't turn it into a double play. But hey, you got to start somewhere. That's the first out of the 2nd inning. And it was a smart play. I really like the way that Korea's come out and held their own in the early going. So much of this game has to do with angles. Good base running by Cuba, meanwhile, to get that runner into scoring position, not allowing Korea to get the timeout called to stop the action. So a chance for a couple more with a hit here. And that's a good ball down the third base line by Rachel Medina. Rachel Medina Isaac, she has a sack on the back of her jersey. And she has an RBI. There was no advance by the runner on second. So now first and second with 1 out. And there again is a look at the big crowd, which you'll continue to see throughout the week. And this is trouble into the corner. Rivera scores. Isaac gonna dance down the third base line, but time is called and time is granted. 6 runs already in for Cuba, 6-0 the lead. Got to credit everybody here in Tepic, from especially the local organizing committee, who put in a ton of work to get these fields ready to play. After all the rain that was in the area last night, through the morning, there were some serious storms. I was woken up a couple of times by loud thunder. And I was wondering, as I was hearing the thunder, what is that going to do to the courts here in Parque La Loma? Well, it got them wet, but they're dry and perfect conditions to play right now. Cuba threatening to make it a huge second inning. Bases loaded, just the 1 out. And a timeout taken. Korea has not yet won at this tournament. They lost to Kenya in straight sets, 7-2 and 8-1. They did play a back and forth affair with Spain yesterday. They lost the first set 10-0, but then they won the second set 9-0, forcing a tiebreaker, and it couldn't have been any closer in the third set. Spain beat Korea 4-3 in that matchup. That third set was the deciding set. So just one run away from finding a victory. Cuba continues to just one by one add runs. 8-0 now. The good news here for Korea is that there's a force at every base. Opportunity to catch that ball. It was hard hit, but there was a chance to catch it. Instead, it bounces off the hands of Bae Chung-rul. He's playing the quote-unquote pitcher position, the defender in the middle of the diamond. You see how Korea has the two fielders back deep, close to the wall, and both of their corner infielders are off the line. Every team lines up their defense a little differently as the batter gets hit by the ball in play. That's out number 2, and sometimes that's the only way to get Cuba out of an inning, is for them to make some mistakes and get themselves out. That's just like regular baseball and softball. If the runner gets hit by the batted ball, it is an out. So there's 2 gone. 6 runs already in the inning. Make it 7 and 8 as Cuba's going to go up 11-0. Time to start thinking about that 15-run rule. If Cuba leads by 15 after 3, we will not play a 4th inning in this set. That would be the end of the first set, and we would move on, wipe the scoreboard clean, and start another set. Nice play there up the middle, though. Korea wants to take this one the distance at the very least. They get out of the top of the second, but it is 11-0 as Korea comes to bat for the second time. We've had some of the Cuban players already hit multiple times. Park So-jong is retired in her first turn as a batter. Nice catch going down low was Rachel Isak. And the official is having a conversation with one of the official photographers, asking him to move. Won Chae-min. Fair ball, and there's the first base runner for Korea. Comes with 1 out in the bottom of the second. A smash played smartly off the wall. I hope you got a good look at that, because that was perfect defense. You know, in a lot of ways, math, geometry is a part of Baseball 5. Look at the way that Rivera turned his back to the home plate area, knowing that that ball was going to come off the wall. That is so smart, the way that ball was played. And now after a bobble, a throw to first is just in time to retire the side. So we'll go to the third. Cuba enters the third inning up by 11 after that close play. And if Cuba scores 4 times or more here in the third inning, then Korea would have to score in the bottom of the third to keep this set alive. I think there's some changes here, some substitutions for Korea. So Jahui is going to turn around, show his jersey number 15 to the officials at the scorer's table. Now that scorekeeping has been taken care of, we will start the third inning. Played off the wall. That's similar to what we were talking about last inning. The difference is there was nobody on first, so there wasn't a chance to make a play at second. Much easier to play it off the wall and get it out at second or third than having to go all the way across. Usually if it hits the wall, you don't have a chance to get the batter runner at first base. And again, Korea on a hop, thumps it off the wall. And smart play by Park, not forcing the ball anywhere. Now a ground ball to first, a missed opportunity for Korea to get the out. Watch this, if this ball is fielded cleanly, all you got to do is step on the bag for out number 1. That's one that Won Jae-min would probably like another crack at. Base is loaded for Cuba. Is there a team here in Tepic that can challenge Cuba? So far, the answer has been no. They've played some competitive games to this point, but nobody has really threatened to beat them yet. However, Spain gave them all they could handle in set 1 yesterday. 4-2 was the final score in the first set. As a nice play there from Korea. And there's one away. In the second set, though, Cuba took care of business. They beat Spain 10-0. Now it's knocked down. Out at first, only 1 run in. It's 12-0. Nice job by Won. Yandro Morasen, the batter who was just retired, did get the RBI. Now a hot shot off the wall near third base. Safe, there was no force play on. And the tag came just a little late. So now that all-important 15th run is on base on second. And booted around, here's the throw home, safe. Cuba has that 15th run, and if they're able to maintain the shutout in the third, they'll win this set and move on to the next one. They'd probably like an insurance run here. That way they can afford to give up 1. The batter is Diaz. Softly hit, but everybody's safe. Bases loaded again for Cuba. Or no, they got the out at second base. Really nice play there. And so if they can keep the shutout here in the bottom of the third, again, they'll win 15-0 in this opening set. I don't think Cuba has won in 3 innings yet. When they played Kenya yesterday, they beat them twice, 13-2 and 12-2. Obviously not by 15 runs. They didn't even score 15. This is their biggest offensive output so far. They're consulting the big monitor before announcing the hitter. It's going to be Jung Song Yup. Jung with a couple of bounces. See, that's what this Cuba team does. That was a well-placed ball. It was a well-struck ball. And against most teams, that's a hit. But Cuba and the arm strength of Kevin Hidalgo takes away a lot of hits. So 1 down. Oh, and that was a great head fake. That was awesome. Park So-jung looked towards third base. You saw the way it completely faked out the pitcher position. That's Hidalgo. He was moving towards third base, and then the ball went the other way, but now a chance for 2. There's the out at second, on to first, not quite in time. So there's 2 outs, a runner on first, a 15-0 lead for Cuba, 1 out away from winning this opening set by 15 runs. Cha Jin-soo puts it in play. The flip to second, and that's Cuba taking care of business. 15-0, the final score in set number 1. We'll take a very short break and come back with the second set. Cuba 1 set away from finishing the opening round unbeaten. We begin the second set. Cuba the visitors, so they bat first. And they pick up right where they left off. A leadoff base runner. In the final game of the opening round of the 2025 Youth Baseball 5 World Cup, the second ever Youth Baseball 5 World Cup. Almost for Korea at second base. Cuba, the defending champions. France was the silver medalist, the second place finisher at the last Youth Baseball 5 World Cup. That was held in Turkey in 2023. And Mexico took home the bronze, the third place finish. Mexico had a really good opening round. Beat Tunisia, beat Syria. Who else did they beat? They beat somebody else too. Oh yeah, it was Lithuania in a really competitive matchup yesterday. The first game for both of those squads. Mexico, I don't know if it was some nerves, some jitters in front of the home crowd, but they fell behind in the first set 10-0. They lost the first set 10-1, but then they came back and they held Lithuania to a total of 2 runs the rest of the way. And they won sets 2 and 3 to win the game. So Mexico's undefeated. Cuba trying to remain undefeated. Kenya had a nice first round. They're 2-1. Lithuania, despite that setback against Mexico, won the next 4 sets they played, so they're 2-1. Venezuela was outstanding. They did not lose in the opening round. Japan 2-1. It's going to be a very interesting next couple of days. How about that play there? Take a look at the smash. That one knocked Jung back on his back, but he holds on tight to send us to the bottom of the first inning. An even better top of the first inning for Korea. They hold Cuba to 2. Now let's see if the offense can get going. The no-look play. Bae Chung-rol on second base. That has been one of the better strategies employed by Korea in this matchup. The head fake. You look one way, you hit the ball the other way. Very tough on opposing defenses. And there's an out. We have seen very little of that, where the batter makes an error in the box. You cannot make an error. You can't bounce it and accidentally have it leave the box. Nobody's going to give you a second chance. And that's a tough break for Korea after the very solid start to the inning. Now a diving play, throwback to second. But just the one out on the great grab. Playing up the middle there was Yandro Morasen. Morasen diving. 2 away now. That leadoff runner still on second. Throw to first goes wild. And a run for Korea. It's 2-1 in the first inning. No doubt they are determined to play a tighter second set than the first. But that one, no trouble for Espinel at third base. And the side is retired. Aris Espinel, a very solid defensive player for Cuba. Feeling it after making the catch that sends us to the second. But we got a game after one, 2-1. And if you're Korea, the message to your teammates has to be, let's not change a thing. Keep hanging around and maybe get a couple of breaks, a couple of good bounces. Morasen plays it off the wall. And the leadoff base runner for Cuba. Notice how Cuba usually finds the right spot. I did not see what happened there. It may have been a violation, a foot violation, leaving the box. Both runners coming off for Cuba, and this is going to lead to some conversation. Maybe we'll get a look at a replay. The officials are going to get together and talk about this one. They do not have access to replay. The crowd here continues to support a Korea national team, not because they don't like the Cuban team, but I think just because they want to see an upset. And when you're a neutral crowd, it's very easy to root for the underdog. I think we're getting some of that here. Base is empty, 1 out. That's the result of the conversation. Isak hard to third, nice play. Across the diamond, Jung Song-yup. 2 outs. A sure-handed grab by Won Chae-min. Another chance from deep in the hole. This time it's bounced over and out the call. How about it from Korea? Chance to pull even with as little as a run. Chance to take a lead with a couple. I think we can forget all about that 15-0 first set. This is looking like an entirely different couple of teams. Bae Chung-yeol leads off. And did that bounce before it hit the wall? It did. And the runner's safe at first. You look over at the Korean dugout, the bench, because it's not sunken down into the ground, so you don't really need to call it a dugout, but whatever you want to call it, you look over there, and they are very engaged in this matchup. And another head fake, but that time the play made over to first. And the out recorded. We're a half an hour away from the first matchup of the knockout round getting started. That knockout round going to determine who goes into the super round and who goes into the placement round. I guess we're calling it the semifinal. And the placement bracket. It's Thursday afternoon in Tepic, Nayarit. This tournament will run all day tomorrow, and Saturday we will have a world champion to tell you about by Saturday night. Good footwork. But then the ball handled at second for the out that ends the inning. Korea unable to pull even. That trademark good defense from Cuba sends us to the third, 2-1 the score. Fans continue to appreciate the defensive effort we're seeing from Korea. That was a really great play, moving quickly to his right. Won with the right-handed squeeze and then the quick footwork to get over to the first base bag. And then that's a smart play by So Jae-hui. Knowing he didn't have a chance to make the throw in time, he ran it himself just in case the runner for Cuba decided to round the bag, which he did not. And now it's going to be first and second for Cuba with one out. Trying to get a little bit of breathing room here in the third. Remember what we were talking about last third inning, the one from the first set. Cuba entered with a 12-0 lead, and then they added 3 more, went on to win it 15-0. Out at second, now to third. Almost an inning-ending double play. Jung diving at the feet of Rivera. What a great second set we have here. Korea and Cuba. 2-0 Cuba, 0-2 Korea. That one caught on the fly, and another inning with no runs for Cuba. 2-1. We're going to the bottom of the third. This team looks very much like they belong in the same conversation as Cuba. And remember, this is a Korea team that, yes, they're 0-2. They haven't won a game yet, but they won a set yesterday against Spain. And then they only lost the third set by 1 run. They're that close to being 1-1. And now the tying run on first with nobody out. Really important to move that runner to second here. That was the one thing you really had to avoid. But the heavy ball by Bae Chong-yeol. Cuba's really good at making that play. I think if Bae was to come up again, he'd probably hit one of the short balls. Very hard to get the out at second on a short ball. Well, we say that, and not only do they get the out at second, they turn it into a double play. Spectacular defense from Cuba. 3 complete. It is a 2-1 ball game. Cuba doesn't look all that worried. Yes, they would like to win every game as quickly as possible by the biggest margin as possible, but I think at the end of the day, so long as they wind up with the W, they're going to be happy. Ground ball to third, the bounce to first, everything there but the catch. I like that bounce play across the diamond from Jung. First and second, and look out. This is where Cuba can sometimes get on a roll. Thought we might see Korea take a timeout ahead of this bases loaded situation. Yes, there it is. They wait till the last second, and it's smart. You know, there's a lot of ways you can handle a bases loaded situation, a lot of ways you can rotate the fielders. I think that was a really, really smart idea by the coaching staff, and the manager, the head coach of this team, is Kim Young-woo, assisted by Kim Soo-yoon. There it is. A great pick on a short hop by Bae Chung-roll. And he wins the race to home plate. Notice the defensive player touches the white home plate. The runner touches that triangle directly opposite home plate. And that is to avoid collisions. And that's a tough mistake to make. Juan unable to come up with that cleanly. I think the run would have scored no matter what, but there was a chance to make a play at first base. Instead, base is still loaded, still just the 1 out, and 3-1 Cuba. That time the play made. That's kind of how Korea would have liked the last one to go down. Give up the run, take the out, but now that's the second out, and it's a 4-1 lead. 3 runs for Cuba, the advantage. Off the wall, that'll score a 5th Cuban run. A timeout for a shoe tie. And this is like a really careful shoe tie. That took a while. Bae-Chung Roll wanted to make sure that's the last time he's going to have to tie that puppy up. Hard hit, knocked towards second. Bases loaded again for Cuba, but really a good controlled bit of defense there. They didn't let the ball get away. Isak up the middle to third for the out that ends the inning. It was a force out. So I don't think that run's going to count. Let's wait and see. Great play over at third base. So we'll go to the bottom of the 4th. Korea down by 5. Not an insurmountable lead, but against other teams, it's easier to erase a 5-run deficit than it is against Cuba. No doubt about that. Diaz and Espinel, by the way, really working the gum. Both corner infielders for Cuba. That was a missed opportunity. We were talking in the first set about how Espinel is so sure-handed, usually makes those catches, but might have been some extra spin on the ball that time. And would you look at this response we're seeing from Korea? After they give up the 3, that's what I thought. It was only 3 in the 4th inning. They go to the bunt play, but it doesn't work. It doesn't advance the runners. I would have put that on the first base side. Much harder to make the out at third base if you bunt it on the first base side. Hard hit, pop to first, not in time. Bases loaded for Korea. We're guaranteed to go 5. How about those reflexes after popping the ball in front of her, swatting it over to first base. Catch, throw to third. Nope, no double play. Just the 1 out on the catch up the middle. Still bases loaded. So Jae-Hui, the man with the ball. See if he can bring a run or 2 home. This is a big moment for Korea. Softly hit, throw to first, not in time, run scores, and now the tying run is on first. It's 5-2. This Korea team really has Cuba thinking. They're frustrated. Especially when you win that first set 15-0. You probably don't expect to have the tying run on base against you in the fourth. But that's where we are in this 5-inning second set. Force out at second to end the inning. But a pretty good one from Korea. They get one back. We will go to the fifth. Cuba 5, Korea 2. Cuba getting a little bit of a test here from Korea in their tune-up before we get into the knockout stage. Japan, meanwhile, has started their warm-ups over on field 1. The way the knockout stage is going to work, the top seed from every group is going to play the bottom seed from every, not every group, but the top seed of one group plays the bottom seed of another. To give you an example, it's going to be Japan and Puerto Rico over at field 1. Kenya against Tunisia here at field 2. It's going to be 4 against 1 and 2 against 3. That's a 2-3 matchup, the Kenya-Tunisia matchup. It's a 1, or rather a 2-3 also in the Japan-Puerto Rico. Some of the 1-4 matchups, that's Syria against Cuba, Mexico against Korea. And yeah, Korea is going to be the 4 seed coming out of their group, regardless of what happens the rest of the way here. Final timing on the knockout stage games, TBD. But we expect the first knockout stage game to get started in less than half an hour. We're getting into the thick of it now. Runner on second and third for Cuba. And that's a run to make it 6-2. Korea trades a run for and out. Time's going to be given now that the runner's on second and third. Just couldn't squeeze it there, Cha Jin-soo. More trouble for Wan Chae-min over at first base. She'll come across and keep the runner Isak at third. Oh yeah! Diving and the tag of third base. Is that a double play? Oh, let's see on the replay. They say no double play. I think they might have missed that one there. Great heads-up play by Bae Chang-yeol. One of the best catches of the opening round, and I really think that he tagged that base before Isak got back safely. The officials have been so good in this tournament, but they do occasionally miss one. That would have gotten Korea out of the inning. Instead, Cuba keeps pouring it on. I mean, that's the alertness level from Bay to dive to third with the ball in his hand. Sensational. But now Cuba's starting to run away with it. Korea trying to get a call for leaving the hitter's box early. Not going to get that call. If nothing else, this serves as a way to slow down the Cuba attack that has all of a sudden awoken. Espinel hard to first. That'll score a pair. 12-2 Cuba. There will not be a 10-run rule. And now we'll get a throw to first for the out that ends the top of the 5th inning. So we'll go to the bottom of the 5th. Cuba finally gets the offense going in their half of the 5th inning, and it's going to take a lot for Korea to come back. We'll see what they have. Back in just a second. It's going to be Won Chae-min leading off. We'll see what she can do to get it started. Bottom of the 5th. Last chance for Korea. On a hop, Espinal over to first. Nice play. Cuba makes the routine plays look easy. They make the hard plays look routine. I mean, yeah, that might sound like an oversimplification, but it's true. They are simply the best. Undisputed world champions at every level in Baseball 5, and it makes sense. The game derived from Cuatro Esquinas, game played on the streets of Havana and elsewhere in Cuba. The WBSC launched its Baseball 5 project in Havana 8 years ago. And the rest of the world trying to catch up. Going to be a tough play, and in the end, they cannot make that play to end the game. But still, a great effort. Everything but the squeeze at first from Ariana Lao. Back-to-back hits with 2 outs for Korea. Cuba doesn't seem too concerned yet, but they'll want to stop this before it gets rolling for Korea. The wind-up, the smash, up the middle, stepping on second base. Cuba secures a 12-2 second set victory. A combined score of 27-2, but don't let that second set fool you. Don't let the final score fool you. Korea was right there alongside Cuba for much of it. We hope you enjoyed the broadcast of this final game in the opening round, and now we turn the page and we head to the knockout stage. Japan and Puerto Rico on field 1, just about ready to get underway. Strongly suggest you go check that out. The next game we have for you from field 2 will get started shortly. And that matchup will be between Tunisia and Kenya. Tony Alvarez will have the coverage. Until then, Craig Durham saying so long. Thanks for tuning into this one. And congratulations to Cuba. They remain unbeaten. They have never lost a match in a Baseball 5 World Cup.